You've been lying there for hours. The ceiling hasn't changed. Your phone says 2:47 a.m. You close your eyes, and your brain decides, right now, is the perfect time to replay every embarrassing thing you've ever said since 2009. Sound familiar? Here's what's wild. You're not broken. You're not cursed. And no, you don't need another chamomile tea. What's actually happening inside your brain at night is far more fascinating and far more fixable than anything you've been told before. I'm about to walk you through 5 surprising secrets from sleep psychology that most people will never hear about. These aren't your typical put your phone down tips. These are the deep, science-backed truths about why your brain fights sleep and exactly how to outsmart it. Stay with me, because secret number 3 completely changed how I think about sleep, and it might change yours too. Let's start with something that sounds completely backwards. Secret number 1. Trying harder to sleep is exactly why you can't sleep. There's a psychological phenomenon called sleep effort, and it is one of the most overlooked causes of chronic insomnia. When you lie in bed and consciously try to force yourself to sleep, your brain interprets that effort as a threat signal. It thinks something important is happening, something that requires you to stay alert and awake. Sleep psychologists call this hyperarousal. Your nervous system shifts into a mild fight-or-flight state, your cortisol ticks upward, your heart rate stays elevated, and your brain, the very thing you need to quiet down, starts monitoring itself. Am I asleep yet? What about now? Why isn't this working? The harder you try, the more awake you become. It's a self-defeating loop. This is why cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, which is now considered more effective than sleeping pills by most major sleep research institutions, teaches something called paradoxical intention. Instead of trying to sleep, you try to stay gently awake while lying still in a relaxed position. You remove the pressure, and the moment the pressure lifts, sleep finds you. The takeaway? Stop performing sleep. Your only job tonight is to rest your body. Sleep will do the rest on its own. Secret number 2 is about your brain's internal clock, and why most people are fighting it without realizing it. Your body runs on something called a circadian rhythm. You've probably heard that term. But what most people don't know is that this clock isn't just about when you feel tired. It controls your body temperature, your hormone cycles, your digestion, your mood, and your alertness, all on a 24-hour schedule. And here's the key. This clock is anchored almost entirely to light. Every morning, when light hits your eyes, specifically the blue spectrum light from the sun, your brain receives a signal that resets the clock. It triggers a cortisol spike that wakes you up, and it begins a countdown. Roughly 14 to 16 hours later, your brain will start releasing melatonin and preparing you for sleep. The problem? Most of us never get that morning light signal. We wake up, go straight to our phones, commute in a car with tinted windows, sit in artificially lit offices all day, and then wonder why we're not tired at 10 p.m. and can't fall asleep at midnight. Your brain hasn't gotten the message that the day started. The fix is deceptively simple. Get outside within 30 minutes of waking up. Even on a cloudy day, outdoor light is 10 to 50 times stronger than indoor lighting. Just 5 to 10 minutes of natural morning light dramatically improves your ability to fall asleep at night. Not because of anything mystical, but because you've given your biological clock the anchor it needs to run on schedule. This is one of the most powerful and most underused sleep interventions that exists. Now we're at secret number 3, and this one genuinely surprised me when I first came across it in sleep research. Your bed might be the thing destroying your sleep, not the mattress, not the pillow, the psychological association you've built with your bedroom. Sleep psychologists talk about something called stimulus control. The idea is that your brain learns to associate environments with certain states. If you eat in bed, scroll in bed, watch shows in bed, work on your laptop in bed, argue on the phone in bed, your brain learns that the bed is a place for all kinds of mentally active things, not just sleep. So when you lie down at night and close your eyes, your brain doesn't automatically shift into sleep mode. It starts scanning for what activity comes next. Should we scroll, think, stress, watch something? The bed has lost its singular identity. The solution is something called sleep restriction combined with stimulus control. You use your bed only for sleep, nothing else. If you can't sleep after about 20 minutes, you get up, go to a dim and quiet space, do something calm and low stimulation. Reading a physical book works well, and only return when you feel genuinely sleepy. This feels counterintuitive. You might actually sleep less in the short term, but within a week or two, your brain begins to rebuild that powerful association: bed equals sleep. The moment your body hits the mattress, it starts shutting down, because that's what it has been trained to expect. Some sleep clinics report that stimulus control alone resolves insomnia in a significant portion of cases. It's that effective. Secret number 4 is about something happening in your mind that you might not even notice, and it's called cognitive hyperarousal. This is the racing thoughts problem. And it's not just about stress. It's about the type of thinking your brain defaults to when there's nothing external to focus on. Researchers have found that when people with insomnia lie down in a dark, quiet room, their brains don't slow down. They actually speed up. The absence of stimulation causes the brain to turn inward, and inward, for many people, means problem-solving mode. Replaying conversations, planning tomorrow, catastrophizing, reviewing regrets. Your brain isn't doing this to torture you. It's doing its job. In quiet moments, the brain tries to process unresolved emotional content and prepare for future challenges. The problem is timing. It picked the worst possible window to do this. Sleep psychologists use a technique called constructive worry to interrupt this cycle. About an hour before bed, you sit down with a notebook and do a deliberate worry dump. You write down everything that's on your mind: things you need to do, things you're anxious about, unresolved tensions. Then next to each one, you write one small next action or simply acknowledge that there's nothing to be done about it tonight. What this does is give your brain closure. It says, I see you. I've noted this. You don't need to bring it up again at 1 a.m. Pair this with a consistent wind-down ritual, something that signals to your nervous system that the day is ending, and you give your brain a structured off-ramp from the problem-solving highway it loves to race down. And that brings us to secret number 5, which might be the most psychologically rich of all. Your relationship with wakefulness matters just as much as your relationship with sleep. Here's what sleep psychology has discovered. People who suffer the most from insomnia are often people who fear being awake at night. They dread it. They catastrophize it. They lie there calculating how many hours of sleep they'll get if they fall asleep right now, and watching that number shrink with every passing minute. This fear response triggers the very arousal that prevents sleep. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. One of the core goals of cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia is changing what sleep researchers call dysfunctional beliefs about sleep. Things like, I need 8 hours, or I can't function. If I don't sleep tonight, tomorrow will be ruined. Being awake at night means something is wrong with me. The research tells a different story. Humans have a remarkable ability to cope with one poor night of sleep. The anticipatory anxiety around sleep deprivation is often worse than the deprivation itself. And here's something fascinating from anthropological sleep research. A study of pre-industrial societies found that humans naturally experienced something called segmented sleep, where people would wake in the middle of the night for an hour or two, be quietly active, and then sleep again. Waking up at night isn't a malfunction. It can be a normal variation of the human sleep pattern. When you stop fighting wakefulness and start relating to it differently, calmly, without panic, without calculation, the nervous system relaxes. And relaxation is the precondition for sleep. So here's where we land. Sleep isn't a performance. It's not something you can force, chase, or optimize your way into with sheer willpower. It's a biological process that happens naturally when your nervous system feels safe, your internal clock is calibrated, and your mind has been given permission to let go. The 5 secrets we covered today, stopping sleep effort, anchoring your circadian clock with morning light, rebuilding your bed's identity, offloading your cognitive load before bed, and releasing the fear of wakefulness. These are not hacks. They're the foundations of how sleep actually works, backed by decades of psychological research. You don't need to implement all 5 overnight. Pick one, start there. Notice what shifts. If this video gave you something useful, share it with someone who's been staring at their ceiling too long. And if you want to go deeper on sleep psychology, subscribe, because we're just getting started. Now close this video, step away from the screen, and go be kind to your nervous system tonight. It's been waiting for you to stop fighting it.